Hey. Just want to see what I look like here. Oh, what do I look like? Oh, I don't know what the background looks like. Hope it's not too messy. Good evening. Oh, I hope you can hear me. I think you can. Um, I just thought I'd wing it again. These live streams make it really easy to make content, and I don't have a lot of time. I Elizabeth is set for the night. My kitties are all fed. My dogs are walked and fed. My husband is comfortable and occupied, and I can take a moment and do this. And I just thought, I really need to keep this going. So, how's everyone? Not that anyone is necessarily here. You'll probably be watching this after the fact, but that's okay. That's where we're at. Um, so, the real OJ is the real Bryan. Bryan Kohberger is a disguise, and this is based on my own life experience. You know, um, take it for what it is. I can't prove it. I don't have the proof because it's top secret. He has a security clearance, and his true name is David Craig, who is 69 years old. This right here is a disguise, and you can see how much it is based on the structure of David's face. I mean, it wasn't until I actually compared him side by side with Bryan that I'm amazed. I mean, I knew. I mean, first of all, I'm reviewing this for anyone who didn't see any of my previous videos. When I put my tips into the tip line over in Moscow, Idaho, I had no idea that David was wearing any disguise. I just knew that David did this, and David, he's a serial killer. He's been a serial killer since the early 70s, when he started his career off as the copycat Zodiac Killer. And my father was the Zodiac Killer. But at the time when I met David, I actually met David in 1975, when he first started chanting as a brand new Buddhist, and that's really that's how he's been so successful. I know that sounds really terrible. It sounds like it must be some kind of evil practice for some devil to get away with all these horrific sins, acts. But Nichiren Buddhist is different than any other philosophy or practice, in that whatever you dream of, it will, if let's say you have evil dreams like David did in this photo. This is a photo from 1994, right after he had buried the murder weapon, which was a hunting knife, on the top of Mount Whitney, in July of 1994, after the murders, on June 12th, 1994. He felt on top of the world here in this photo, and you can see the difference almost 30 years makes. It was this photo, I don't know when this photo was taken of Bryan, but it's approximately a 30-year difference between the photos. Probably less than 30, because 30 years would be next year. And the FBI said that I'd be declassified in 30 years. I mean, they changed the amount of time. It started at 20 and it ended up 30. But they can't wait till next year, because next year is an election year. It's pretty darn close as it is. And we can't wait till next year. We have to do it now. And my birthday, my 58th birthday, is this year. 1958 was the year Jose Toda, the second president of the Soka Gakkai, SGI USA. Well, not USA, but in Japan, it's now SGI, Soka Gakkai International. the second president, he supposedly died in 1958, but he didn't really die. And he still lives, actually, in another body. I know that sounds really wild. It's not a disguise, but yeah, but this is a disguise right here. And it's amazing. I can't even get over disguises nowadays. I remember, I grew up in a CIA family, and I remember disguises back when I was a baby, and they weren't anywhere near like this. I mean, they used actual glue back in those days in the 1960s. I was born in 65. I don't think there's any glue involved in these. It's a very lifelike coating that goes that I guess works with your face, and it's remarkable. I'm amazed. And I guess they can interact with you and know you and be up close with you, and you don't even know it's a disguise. I mean, it really is so lifelike. I don't know. I just think that Bryan has a very too smooth skin, for being 28, almost 29 at this point, getting pretty close there. So, he needs to update his mask, probably. And, he's in custody. I noticed his, I didn't get the picture, but there is a picture of his hands, and people have been commenting on how his hands look swollen. Those are not David's hands. He couldn't use his own hands. He's 69 years old, and, his real skin is kind of translucent and, pale in comparison to Bryan's. Bryan's is more olive complected, and he wouldn't get away with showing his hands. That's where where your real age really shows. I'm proud of my age, and since I've been a teenager, my hands have always been very rugged, and I haven't tried to protect them, and they look older. They've always looked older than I am, and maybe they look my age now. I don't know. I'm 57, going on 58 in October. So yeah, I'm amazed at how lifelike this is. But yeah, he wouldn't get away. He has a covering on his hands, and I'm pretty sure that was the reason why police wanted to see his hands when they pulled him over on his way to Pennsylvania with his father. I'm pretty sure that's why. I had thought initially they wanted to see if there were cuts on his hands or whatever, but no, or they wanted to examine his hands. Yes, they wanted to examine his hands, and they do. I told them they weren't David's hands. They looked larger than David's hands, and that would make sense if he's wearing like a glove. I guess that's how the disguise works. I really don't know how modern day disguises work. But yeah, it looks like he's wearing like latex gloves a little bit. I mean, it's like a lifelike coating. And I noticed he was wearing a Band-Aid or a bandage or tape on his wrist when they showed it in court. And let me find that. Let me find that photo. I just have to find my browser. Hold on. Okay, here. This is the browser. No, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted, here's the one I wanted. Okay. Let's look at, what is his name? Bryan. Look down here. Bryan. Right. And look at images. Okay, here his, this is what I remember. Well, you don't really see his hands, do you? People were talking about his hands. They were doing close-ups and videos. Okay. I don't see his hands. Well, here's his hands here. I mean, this is not the one I was thinking of, but let's see. And let's see it closer up. Let me see if I can magnify it. Plus. All right. Yeah, see, I feel, this is what I was talking about in my previous live stream. I was talking about how it seems like he did something to make his hands, his wrists look kind of reddish, like like it's real skin that is irritated. Wait, I can't get this so that it's in the middle here. I guess that's the best I can do, right? Yeah, you see how it's red? I feel like he did something to make it look like his skin was irritated by the handcuffs. I don't know, what would you use to do that? I mean, you're in jail. What do you have at your disposal? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, yeah, that's right. I don't know what he would have. But I know when he had that issue with the razor, he definitely, that was definitely drawn on to make his skin look like it was real skin. I know him, and I know he did that on purpose. And I don't know if somebody brought him some kind of marker. If you have a marker, you can like take water and spread it out and make it something make skin look reddish. And yeah, his hands do look, don't you think they look kind of big? He's a very slight kind of person. And, look at how big his hands are. Look at how serious he is. I feel like he was really, I was thinking about this the other day, how I really feel like David was really like doing the eyes wide open on purpose, because I have a podcast of that name, and I feel like he was like trying to like really do that. I don't know, to get my attention. I don't know, part of the whole production. I don't know. He's been planning all of this for a long time. All right. What I have ready here, I didn't know what I was going to talk about today, but Crime Circus attracts my attention. I don't know who that guy is and who they are. I really wonder if he's the FBI, like putting out funny little videos. I know he got a lot of criticism. I know the guy he was zeroing in on, that Kopaka best friend, Brent Kopaka. That's a guy, some kind of Purple Heart military guy that died, right? Some firing squad killed him in Idaho soon after the murders, Idaho 4 murders. And people question whether he had any link to Bryan Kohberger. And Crime Circus really thinks so. And I think Crime Circus even goes as far as to suggest that it was Brett who did this instead of Bryan. And a lot of people think Bryan is innocent, because he just doesn't come off as being, some kind of mass murderer, serial. I know nobody's talking about him being a serial killer necessarily. I mean, some people have brought that up, but yeah, he's a serial killer. And a serial killer doesn't get away with killing people again and again if they look like a killer or act like a killer. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of rage there, but they got to keep that under wraps. They got to keep that tucked away. I mean, they can't wear their rage walking down the street all the time, or they'd be locked up. They'd be caught. The best, criminals, I'll say in general, are the ones you look at and you can't even imagine them being a criminal. They look straight and narrow. David is a clean-cut, professional. That's what he looks like, and he acts like it. He talks like it. He dresses really well. He's very charming. He's not someone, he seems like somebody who is in complete control of his behavior. And, the people who know him and have known him a long time couldn't ever fathom something like this. And, I'm sure they think, we're both members. Well, I'm not technically a member anymore, but I was born into an organization called the Circus that I've mentioned. Sokogakai International, which is short, well, it's SGI for short, and it's a Nichiren Buddhist world peace organization. And both my parents chanted, but they weren't active in the organization. I was the most active in my immediate family. But David, has been a member since 1975. He's very well known and very well respected in that community of people. And he keeps a very huge distance between himself and others. He's very mysterious as the result, and people don't really know him, even though they've known him a long, long time. And so, and I, on the other hand, just kind of showed up out of nowhere in, I guess it was 1990. And I didn't have any memory of my past because my family lied to me and didn't want me to remember it. But I did remember. I started chanting and I started remembering everything. And I don't have the greatest reputation in that group of people. There are people who knew who I was the whole time, and they didn't want me to remember myself to remember. And they spread all kinds of bad rumors about me, and I was abused in that organization. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that word. Oh, YouTube algorithm. Forget I said that. ABUSE. It's my life story. It's who I am, and it's what I've overcome, and I should be able to speak freely, but, no one will watch, the algorithm won't propagate my videos if I say those words. But anyway, as the result, people have trashed me in that organization. That's why I had to leave. It just was not a good group of people. Everybody it's because that organization of people are obstructing Kozen Rufu, as they call it, world peace, that or that they treated, as a result, they're obstructing world peace because of the way they've treated me. I've been horribly treated in this organization, and then they wonder why the world is in such chaos, and we're so far away. It seems so far away from what we would deem as world peace. Kozen Rufu, as they call it, one person at a time. Kozen Rufu is supposed to be 1/3 of the population chanting, 1/3 being neutral, being supportive, not chanting, but being supportive, and the rest being neutral. And we're not anywhere near that in this society, in the world, and it seems like it's gotten worse since the organization was founded in America. Officially founded in America in 1960. That's why I'm considered the first official all-American fortune baby in my family. There were other fortune babies before me. My grandmother is a fortune baby. I know that's hard to believe, because everybody thinks it was contained in just Japan, but no, it was propagated a lot earlier. It was just all top secret, and I come from a top secret CIA family, and that's why I'm top secret. And I'm going to be declassified any moment, and with my declassification, the truth about Bryan Kohberger will come out. The truth about the O.J. Simpson case will come out. There's a huge can of worms that will be opened. The Zodiac Killer didn't kill just, the people that he's known to have killed. He killed a lot more people. David and his partner in crime, they thought his mistake was that he never targeted celebrities, but oh yes, he did. And he killed some major celebrities, much bigger than, probably any that David and his partner in crime ever targeted. Anyway, I'm sorry if I'm cutting my face off here. I was just really amused by this particular video by Crime Circus. claiming that Bryan Kohberger is like 6'5" or something, 6'3" to 6'5", and because he's so much taller than the people around him. I'm just trying to find the I don't know if I should play any of he's talking about him being a really big man, and I had the video here. I don't know. I don't know if I feel comfortable just playing it. I've got to get a little more organized and prepared. I just kind of randomly decided to do this tonight. David is probably about 6 foot, and that is the height of Bryan Kohberger. Now, let me look up okay, I want to show you photos of Bryan Kohberger sitting in court. I see a couple there. I just want to find a really good one. He's kind of hunchback, right? More so than his attorneys. There's one. I have a curvature in my spine too, and it gets worse with age. I mean, he does not. You can tell he's older than everybody thinks he is. I don't think this really shows it. Maybe this shows it better. He's got a huge curvature in his spine. Now, a lot of young kids do from being on their computers all the time, right? I mean, it's pretty common. Where is this? I can't get this to move here. Okay, maybe it's this thing. Yeah. I don't think this shows it off very well. I guess it's more clear. It's a little more clear in videos. You see his attorneys, and you see him, and he has like he's kind of slouching because he has a curvature in his spine. I don't know if this shows it pretty well. That happens with age. I have it too. There's a little slouching action there. You can't. I mean, he's got a curvature, and his attorney, who is probably, I don't know, pushing 50. I mean, I don't know. He's pushing 70, right? So he's like 20 years her senior. She's a little straighter, and there's a curvature there, and I mean, I just think it's a little more of a curvature. Here's one that you can see it a little better. See that? See, look at this guy. Don't you think this guy, I don't know, when I've seen him in videos, he looks like George Michael. Like he really does. And you know who George Michael is. Yeah, here he is. This guy. Okay, wait. Let me see if I can get a better view here. Ross, my partner, my business partner Ross, is George Michael. I mean, was George Michael. There. Just look at him. Doesn't he look like what George? Wait, let me get this. Is this already enlarged? No, it's not. This is the guard that's always bringing Kohberger in and out of the courtroom. Where is he? Here he is. I guess it didn't really, it enlarged the print. It did not enlarge the photo. Let's see. I guess I can't really see better than that, huh? Look at him. Let me see if I can get it bigger. I don't know. Oh, here we go. All right. I think you can still see that. Look at him. Doesn't he look like George Michael? Like an older George Michael? Have you ever noticed that? Look, his name is Dean. His last name is Dean. That's my husband's name without the E at the end. That is so funny. Yeah, Ross. He's my business partner. Clara plus Ross equals Cross. We co-wrote lots of music together. We co-produced movie films. Music, songs, and yeah, George Michael was a disguise of Ross, and yeah, he passed away. I swear this must be Ross, and him with the last name Dean. That's my husband's name. Dean Boyd is my husband. I didn't even notice that till now. Okay, and Yeah, Dean would be the guard, taking him into the courtroom and locking him up again. That would be my husband, yes. That's so funny. You know, I would not be surprised if this is the disguise right here. Okay? Okay? I mean, you wouldn't know it, right? Look at how much he looks like George Michael. Now, that is not a coincidence, okay? It is not. It is not. Okay, but we're talking about the slunched over ness of Bryan Kohberger. And let me get this back. I think that's so funny. Okay, where is that photo that I thought was pretty good, showing it off? I guess it was in here, right? Down here. Where is it? I want to see a really good slouched over. I don't know. It's hard to see. I guess it's in videos that you see it better. We'd have to go through videos, and I just don't know which video it's on. I'd have to get it ready for you to get it, you know, have it all ready for you. And I didn't do that. I'm sorry. Yeah, you know, when you're 90, when you're 70 years old, your spine, you know, it kind of hunches over a little bit sometimes. It's genetic. It runs in my family, and what do you know? David and I are related, so that would follow. And you know how the Queen Mum, you know, she actually had osteoporosis and was really hunched over. But even the Queen, you know, Queen Elizabeth, she was looking pretty hunched over for a while, and I'm sure somebody had her do some exercises because she straightened up pretty fast. And I'm glad to know that she did that, so I can do it when I get to that point. I'm at that point now. I need to really work on it. Look at this. Look at this. George Michael, look at him. I'm surprised nobody else has like mentioned that. Like, oh, look, there's George Michael bringing Bryan Kohberger into the courtroom. He does it every time. He's the guy who's assigned to Bryan Kohberger. And you know, David has noticed his last name with the E at the end. Dean. All right, so yeah, I just think it's funny that that Crime Circus thinks he's like this giant guy because he's taller than the people around him. I guess the law enforcement in Idaho is a little shorter than typical. I'm sure they. I don't know if it was intentional. If you're 5'10", you're going to be 2 inches shorter, okay? He used to be 6'1", and I know, you know, when I reported him to police a long time ago, they mistakenly put 6'2" down. His brother was 6'2". I don't know if he still is. You know, everybody's getting older now. And but he was 6'1", as I recall, and I was very annoyed that the police thought he was 6'2" and his brother was 6'1". It's the reverse. He was 6'1". At this point, it's very possible he's 6 foot. And by the way, he and I had a conversation way back. I don't know what year. It was when there was this big thing about the size shoe, the prints found at the O.J. Simpson crime scene in 1994. They went on and on about size 12, you know. Obviously, O.J. is a size 12, and the prints were size 12, and that's David's real shoe size. And it was some rare shoe. I don't know. You know, David has always been fashionable, always tried to, you know, he's very conscious of his appearance and always gets high quality apparel, and yeah, it would figure that he would have gotten the exact same shoe as OJ. Maybe he planned it that way. It's very possible he did. And you know, because he was trying to frame OJ. And I remember those shoes. And yeah, I do. I remember those weird shoes. They were weird looking. And they didn't stay in his closet. They vanished. And I remember commenting to David how you know, how my brother was size 13, and how it would really stand out if somebody was a size 13, because there wouldn't be that many people, you know, that would wear a size 13 shoe. I mean, it's only one size up. I mean, you know, both are large feet, but size 13 I thought would be more distinctive, and there wouldn't be as many people who would have a size 13 shoe. We had a discussion about that on a major discussion once, and maybe additional more minor conversations about that. And I'm not surprised that he would be wearing a larger shoe as Bryan Kohberger for that reason. So to throw, you know, he's just meticulous about details, and I'm sure he's trying to throw off his connection to previous crimes, maybe the 1994 crime scene. I don't know. I just know that he and I had major discussions about a size 13 shoe versus a size 12 shoe. And I guess he took it to heart and made changes when it came to Bryan Kohberger. So I'm not surprised that Bryan Kohberger wears a size 13. I bet he really doesn't wear a size 13. He just, you know, when I wear a size 7, okay, I think over time, I used to be like a 6.5, 7, depending on the shoe. I think now shoes are more uniform, and I'm definitely a size 7. I don't think my feet have gotten bigger, but I think shoe sizes have changed, and possibly men's shoe sizes have slightly shifted. I don't know. And but it would, I would never wear a size 8. It would be, you know, it'd be like, you know, it would be uncomfortable for me to wear a size 8. It's true. But maybe if you're in between the sizes, or, you know, you could get away with that. I know I could get away with a 7.5. I would, you know, it would fit me okay. It would have a little extra space there, but I could get away with it. I could do it. And I'm sure that's what he's doing. You know, maybe he's a little in between sizes, and he's decided to throw everybody off, and maybe signal to me, knowing we had the conversations that we had, that it, you know, this is what he's doing, you know, that it's him. I don't know. Anyway, just so many things. I wish somebody had a question for me so I could, you know, so I could know what to talk about. Nobody's asking me any questions. Of course, nobody's here. But, you know, if you would be so kind as to put your question in the comments, I would really like to know what people want to know, because I don't know where to start. I really don't know where to start. Ask me a question. I mean, you know, I know this is shocking information. It is. I know it is. But what do you want to know? You want to know why? Why would he do this, right? Why would David why is he wearing a disguise? Yeah, that's a question I'd like the answer to. I don't know. I know David is older now, and he, you know, his life, he's not a young man anymore, and he missed the boat. Kind of, you know, David was, you know, he had big dreams, as a young man. And even when I went out with him, I went out with him for like 5 years, and he was in my life for 10 years total. And before I removed him from my life, we were really good friends. He stayed in my life. We were like family. He was the only family I had for a long time. He was like my husband, and actually he did actually marry me. They, made me take a memory drug so I wouldn't remember, but of course I remember. It took me a long time, many years, but I did finally remember. It took me, it was only a couple years ago that I finally remembered. He did it only for the money. He didn't want me to know. He was like, oh, she won't remember, right? He didn't want to marry me, but, he did tell me when I was drugged with date, RAPE, drugs, and I was unconscious, not really. He did tell me that if he was ever going to marry anyone, it would be me, and he did, but there were so many girls that wanted to marry him, and he actually did marry me, but I wasn't supposed to remember. He knew I was going to remember one day, but that by then the coast would be clear, and it wouldn't be the same as me knowing at the time. Yeah, it was after he had killed Ron, and it was all about money. Ron told him about the money, and that was a lot of, it wasn't about love. Yeah, jealousy, sure. Wanting to possess me because of what I represented, because of the money. That's what it was. It wasn't me. It wasn't that, he was obsessed with me. He was obsessed with what I could give him access to. Yeah, it's a very sad situation. He's always been all about the money, and I have many children, and I was just realizing how, I have children everywhere. They took my DNA and they propagated it and created lots of embryos, and I have children that are born in so many families throughout the world, and he does target my children. I noticed that, and that's another one of his it's one of his I don't know what you call that, his patterns, his calling card. What do they do? When a serial killer leaves something at the scene of the crime, he used to leave my DNA. He used to scrape my, when I was drugged, he would scrape. I would wake up occasionally and I'd see him scraping the skin off my feet, and that's one of his. I don't know what it's called when they leave something at every scene, at the scene of the crime. Every time he would leave my DNA at the scene of the crime, and I was never at the scene of the crime, but my DNA, he deposits my DNA at the scene of the crime. And I guess, the FBI knows this, and they look for it every crime scene. And if it's there, they know it's him. I don't know if he did that here. I mean, I don't know how you would get my DNA anymore. I mean, he certainly, maybe he has access to it. Maybe, I know he has stalked me for years, and he probably goes through my trash, for all I know. I'm not really sure. I mean, he doesn't have a lab or anything. He's not a scientist. So I don't know how he would, that would be very expensive to go through trash and identify what's my DNA. You know, that would be a really big thing. But back when he lived with me, I mean, I lived with him for years. Even when when I had broken up with him, we still were friends, roommates, you know, living together a lot of the time. And, you know, he had full access to me, and, you know, I guess he could take my hairs, you know, from my brush, or, you know, from a pillow, or, you know, and he used to scrape my feet. I don't know, he might have cut my nails or something, you know, I don't know what he did, but I know for a long time he used to deposit my DNA at all his crime scenes. And that's how they knew it was him. Yeah. I just wish somebody would ask me a question so I would know what to talk about. But yeah, I don't know why he wears he wanted to, like I have said in previous videos, the CIA steals people's identity. It takes over people's identities. You know, they kill people and they take over their identity, and somebody in disguise plays the role and pretends they're the person. I don't know, to steal the top secret money affiliated with their lineage. I don't know Bryan's lineage. Obviously, there might be some, I don't know, maybe it's a Jewish lineage. I know Bryan Kohberger is not Jewish, but I don't know. I don't know why he targeted Bryan and did this. And that's why he wears a disguise, because he's living a life. He's starting a new life, kind of. And because he never got to live his dreams as himself. And he you know, I know... you know, he's had these dreams that he hasn't been able to fulfill. I mean, he always wanted to get married and have a family, and, you know, of course that didn't happen. I mean, if he had every chance with me, I'm glad it didn't happen with me, because if it had, I mean, I don't know what I would have done to protect my children. I guess I was protected from that situation. Yeah, and I think he's really enjoyed, working towards a PhD. I know he always wanted to further his education. But yeah, I mean, the Kohbergers don't have a lot of money, but I guess he qualified for scholarships, and who knows, financial aid. He obviously had a family that supported him in a way his own family couldn't, maybe. I don't know. It's very sad, you know, he's trying to relive his life, because he didn't get to live his life. You know, he obviously was very, he had a really horrible relationship with his father, who physically abused him more than any other son. He's the second oldest of 4 sons, and in real life, you know, as David Craig, and his father targeted him because his own mother was pretty obsessed with him, and, you know, kind of loved him more than she loved her husband. You know, David was kind of her dream. You know, he's a, you know, he was, I know, a beautiful child, and, you know, and his own father was really, really jealous of that and resented him for that and made him pay for that. The other sons didn't get it as much, you know, didn't get abused as much. And, you know, his own mother, you know, picked him as her golden child, and he was kind of like her replacement husband for many years. And there was sexual abuse in the family. His father, he used to pull out his hair as a child, you know. He was very sensitive, and the abuse. Oh, I spoke words I wasn't supposed to already, haven't I? It's hard to not speak freely about the truth. But yeah, that's how he responded, and you know, and that's why he has so much rage. And, you know, and when a mother crosses the line that way, you know, SEXUALLY. That just, I think that's how you kill KILL, a man. MURDER, a man, a boy. And that's what happened. Yeah, and David has serious issues with women. It's true, he does. But women, you know, wearing his own face, women are obsessed with David. You know, he doesn't have any problem attracting women wherever he goes. He's, you know, that's David. I'm not talking about Bryan. Bryan is different. He has a different persona. He's just, you know, he's not nearly as attractive, obviously. He has that air about him, though, that air of mystery and intrigue that lure women in, I'm sure. I mean, you know, he's got doesn't Bryan have a whole fan club on Reddit or something? Women who think he's innocent. I'm sure he gets many letters, because he is I mean, he's become more attractive. Have you noticed? He's become more like David as attention has been on him, I notice. At first, he didn't look as much like himself, and he's looks more like David now than he used to as time has gone on. Maybe he's been secretly chanting for that to be the case, so I recognize him. I don't know. I could see him and Bryan all along. I was so surprised when they took him into custody because it wasn't David, but I knew it had to be a disguise. Because I know David has worn other disguises, and I was telling the police about that, and that might have helped them understand. I mean, when everything led to Bryan, it helped them understand, oh, you know, that's his disguise. And I'm sure the FBI assisted with that because the FBI has known about David all along since 1994. It's been a secret all this time, classified. The police didn't, obviously the detectives in 1994 had no idea. I mean, it didn't seem like they did, and they didn't really want to know the truth back in 1994. They called my apartment. They asked my roommate if Ron had a girlfriend. She said no, and they took her at her word and hung up and never called back or visited or anything. She just lied, and they wanted to believe her lie. Okay, door closed. We got our man, OJ. They wanted it to be OJ, and my roommate made it really easy for them to claim it was OJ. And you know, it wasn't, you know, it was the FBI that knew the truth, and the FBI that kept it secret all this time. So Idaho was really smart. You know, the Idaho PD was really smart to involve the FBI and to allow them to assist them and to lean on them like they have, because the FBI had all the answers that they needed and the resources to enable that police department to track David down and get him. And now he's in custody. Bravo. And he needs to permanently be separated from society. I know he will probably face the death penalty, and I'm sad for David. But yeah, I know he did it, and I know God. The punishment is death when you murder even just one person. God would, you know, he would die. So I'm sad for David. I feel for him, but he had to have known. I mean, it's been how many years? I mean, how many decades? I think I said 50 years. It's, you know, he's been doing this for 50 years, and it's about time. There are no questions, are there? I mean, nobody's watching. Nobody's asked any questions. It would really help me if people would ask me questions. It would help me to know what to speak about. What is it that you're unclear on? Because I can only speak from my own experience and what, I don't know what is hard for other people to understand and believe. And I think I could clarify things to help you understand what has happened here, as shocking as it is. I'm trying to see. Okay, so it's been almost an hour. I've been on air, getting close to an hour now. No questions, nothing. It would really help me if somebody would ask me a question. If you could, if you're watching this video, the replay, please, put a question down in the comments, or, email me, at, the email is the CNCIA. That's the CEENCIA@gmail.com. You can privately message me, send me an email, or you can put it in the comments. So I know what to make videos about. So I know what questions to answer. And I will be more prepared next time. I hope that this has filled in some of the gaps. There's a little more information in this video that I haven't shared in others. But please ask me questions if you need specific information to be clarified. Allow me to do what I was born to do. Clarify. By the way, my name is Claire Elliott. I am the Zodiac Killer's daughter. And until next time, take care. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you found anything that I spoke about interesting, please let the algorithm know that you like this content, by giving me a thumbs up, and that will really help me. And please subscribe, if you want to hear more. I have so much more to say. So please subscribe and like, and of course, I'm brand new. If you'd like to donate, I think I have the details below. PayPal is at Department of Empowerment, DEPT of Empowerment. Venmo is coming, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate those who've taken the time to hear me out. And, please leave your questions so I know what you want to know. Okay? Thanks.